Are you ready for some smart, plain talk on politics, Israel, and the law? It's the Andrew Parker Show. Let's roll. Welcome to another episode of the Andrew Parker Show, where we talk politics, Israel, and the law. Each and every episode, now for more than 410 episodes, and many interesting guests from all walks of life and different political persuasions, both sides of the aisle. And I want to talk today about the morally bankrupt and the threat that Western civilization faces from those who are wringing their hands over war and having no idea how to bring about peace. In fact, their ideas of peace, ceasefire, stopping any of the killing or casualties immediately, often bring about far more destruction and death than certainly intended. Many of these people are not bad people, but they sometimes are espousing their views for personal benefit, advancement, opportunism. And other times they are simply, as I say, morally bankrupt. Let's take a look at the issue of the day and the one that I talk about so often on the Andrew Parker Show, and that is the Middle East, the state of Israel, the peace that Israel wants day in and day out and will not be allowed to have, or frankly, other countries in the Middle East want and will not be allowed to have. Why? In large part, it's because of Iran and the terrorist, the largest state sponsor of terror in the world, supporting Hamas, arming Hamas, supporting Hezbollah, arming Hezbollah, supporting the Houthis and the same. And yes, they have been reduced. They have been limited. They have been hit hard. But they're in it for the long game. And they will resupply, re-weaponize. And their attitudes of annihilation will not change. So what is Israel to do in the face of this? No, better question. What is the rest of the world to do? The Western Europe, the United States, Western civilized world. Should they kowtow to the terror? You really have a choice. And I speak now, and I'm going to talk about during this episode the members of Congress, the 535 who get to vote in this country. House and Senate, 535 of them. That's it. You've heard me say many times, 330 million plus people. 535 get to decide many of the key issues and take a stand and be heard, sometimes on very difficult issues, sometimes like this, on life and death issues. But when you're looking at taking sides, there is good and there is evil. And what Hamas stands for is evil. What Israel stands for is good. Does that mean that everything done is done perfectly, is done without error, is done resulting in a good resolution? No, not always, for sure. And sometimes there are evildoers in Israeli society, no doubt, and they are brought to justice. They have the rule of law. Was there the rule of law on October 3rd or October 7th, 2023? Oh, no. And has there been since for the hostages held in violation of every rule of war, even if you consider this, which certainly we should, a war? The laws of war violated day in and day out? There are no rules. There are no boundaries to the hatred and heinous conduct of the Nazis, and you can say the same of Hamas. As we have seen over the past several days, video taken by Hamas of hostages still held well over 600 days. So easy, it just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? So well over 600 days. Every day they suffer through is another mark against the evil that is around, the evil that is Hamas. The Nazi death tactics that they employ, and they employed on October 7th, burning of children, killing of parents in front of their kids, the beheading of babies, the murder of 1,200 plus, mostly young people, but also Holocaust survivors. The Nazi death tactics, yes, indeed, by Hamas, the corruption of Hamas, the billions that have poured into Gaza and the Palestinian territories that have been provided, the billions being stolen. Now we see humanitarian aid in the thousands of tons being stolen. Don't be fooled by it. Don't buy into the Hamas health ministry lies, propaganda, Joseph Goebbels lies. That's what they are. Talking about no humanitarian aid, showing pictures of malnourished kids who, as an investigation has now shown, were suffering from a completely separate, unrelated disease, but they were shown as if they were malnourished. Of course, if you look closely at the picture, the parents not malnourished at all, none of the other kids there, no, just the one. And it's carried around the world. So don't buy into these lies. The humanitarian aid is bigger than ever since World War II. That is what Israel is providing. What is Hamas providing? You've seen the pictures. War crime after war crime. And then there's the using civilians as human shields. War crime. Another war crime. And there is showing all over the news the destruction and the rubble in Gaza, as if Hamas is not responsible for this, as if they can commit war crimes. They can be a neighbor to the democratic society of Israel as heinous killers, but not be held to account. The left and right, both on social media, are missing the point. The conduct of Hamas from beginning to end, from beginning to where we are now, cannot be rewarded. It cannot be allowed to survive and rekindle for another fire down the road. As you all know, the leaders of Hamas have consistently said, and despite all of the destruction, say that they will do this to Israel again and again and again. They will do this to the innocents, to civilians, intentionally targeting them again and again and again. And just very quickly, another lie, the fact that, Israel targets civilians, just a blatant falsehood, absolute lie. Look up John Spencer and read his work. He has investigated, studied. He is a nationally renowned expert on urban warfare. And he speaks of how in human war history, there has never been a country that has been so humane in carrying out urban warfare as the state of Israel in its war against Hamas in Gaza. The most humane tactics under the most difficult of circumstances, door to door, building to building, densely populated urban warfare, but worse, with 300 miles plus of tunnels under the ground. But Israel pushes forward. They do not relax their requirements of warfare on the IDF that is fighting. Even when it increases the risk to the IDF soldiers, to the Jewish kids that are fighting, exponentially, they do not relax the rules of engagement. Even when Hamas tries to increase the number of civilian deaths and casualties, while the Israelis are trying to decrease it. Never in warfare has this happened, where one side that is engaging in war against the other is doing so, providing humanitarian aid in the thousands of tons, taking great protection to avoid collateral damage and also to avoid civilian casualties. Never before. But here it is. And then you look around the world and you see the protests are against Israel, not against Hamas. This is insanity. But that's easy to throw around. It is dangerous to Western civilization. It is the morally bankrupt winning over the discourse of the day. We must reject it. We must demand unconditional surrender. We must not reward the evil that is Hamas. It is a direct attack on Western civilization, and more particularly in the region. Israel should not be required to live with a neighbor like Hamas, with a neighbor like Hezbollah, right on right on its border. The lies about the Jews that are online, in particular in social media, the lies about Israel, the influence that money has now on the messaging and the narrative is dangerous. It is nothing short of dangerous. Again, Western values are at stake. And now, a word from our sponsors. A record of success second to none. Parker Daniels Keyboard Law Firm, the numbers tell the story. The last 5 cases our lawyers have brought to trial have resulted in million and multi-million-dollar verdicts for our plaintiff clients and 0 defense verdicts for our defense clients. Put simply, we try cases and we win cases. Hi, I'm Andrew Parker. At Parker Daniels Keyboard, we take our work personally and we go the extra mile. That is why some of the biggest law firms, locally and nationally, send cases to us to handle when they can't. If you have a challenging and critically important business or personal legal dispute that must be favorably resolved, whether regarding a contract matter, a business divorce, a real estate dispute, an employment dispute, a civil rights or defamation matter, plain talk, if it's a big deal, contact us at Parker Daniels Keyboard. Wise counsel, winning results. Go to parkerdk.com. Looking to grow your wealth with exclusive opportunities? At True North Private Investments, they focus on alternative investments designed for forward-thinking individuals just like you. Explore private equity, private real estate, and private credit opportunities that go beyond traditional markets. And it doesn't stop there. Their experts craft unique tax strategies to help maximize your returns and minimize your federal and state tax liabilities. Your future deserves innovation. Your portfolio deserves True North. Call them today at 619-455-0275 or visit investtruenorth.com to get started. So who is the morally bankrupt? Who is it that is siding with Hamas every step of the way and is calling for an end? Even though Hamas continues, even though hostages are still held, they want to reward Hamas for what it did on October 7th and what it has done ever since. Well, first and foremost, the media. The media, and I'm talking about right, left, and center. Even Fox News and its reporting is outrageous. It's not as bad, for sure. Most of the commentators understand the moral corruption that exists in the left-wing media. Beyond the media, who else? Western Europe. Western Europe siding with Hamas. The UN siding with Hamas. But now most problematic and concerning. The Democratic Party in the United States, 50% of the Democrats in the Senate caucus voted with Bernie Sanders to halt assistance to the state of Israel to prosecute and end once and for all this war. Which only guarantees that more death and destruction will occur far beyond halting the war tomorrow, far beyond what the total casualties are. It will continue for decades unless it is ended now. Unconditional surrender. And the Democratic Party bought into the media lies, the Hamas narrative, the killer's narrative. They are spreading it far and wide, hither and yon, spreading it. And it's being bought into by Western Europe, the UN, Democratic Party, and the left in Israel itself that is marching and saying, return the hostages now. Well, don't you think we would if we could? Well, you can. Just give whatever they want. Well, that could end up being the end of Israel down the trail, or the end of thousands and thousands of more Israelis, or the taking of many hundreds of more hostages. No, you can't have, nor should Israel be required to live with these Islamo-Nazi fascist killers on their border. The U.S. wouldn't tolerate it for a minute. Israel should not be required to either. And that should be a mantra for the Republicans and the Democrats, both. Because what do you think happens when Bernie Sanders puts these resolutions on the floor of the Senate and half the Democratic Party supports cutting assistance to Israel? It is viewed by Israel's enemies, by the West's enemies, by those who burn the American flag and the Israeli flag. It is viewed by them as giving it gives them oxygen. It gives them the energy. It tells them, do not surrender, do not unconditionally surrender, no matter what. Continue fighting because we are winning. That's what they're thinking when they see this in the halls of Congress. And frankly, that's what they're thinking when they see the far left in Israel, march against the 85 to 90% of Israelis who all agree with what they have to do. And that is protect the West, not just protect Israel, but be at the point of the spear for Western civilization. And sadly, it's come to this. Tina Smith and Amy Klobuchar, senators here from the state of Minnesota, both voted with Bernie Sanders to halt needed military assistance to Israel to complete what must happen, and that is the destruction of Hamas. People said, you can't destroy an ideology. You can't destroy the Nazi thinking that was so overwhelming in Germany and beyond. Well, that's not true. The denazification of Germany and beyond occurred successfully, in large part. And it can occur in the Middle East too. But Hamas must be destroyed. Syria must not be radicalized. Lebanon must be allowed to rise from the ashes like a phoenix once again, as it was the Riviera of the Middle East for decades. Hezbollah must be removed. And peace treaties will be signed. But not if there is some sort of a resolution with Hamas to allow them to continue to exist. With the same attitudes, the same statements, they're going to do this over and over and over again. Their words, with no equivocation. So the damage that is caused by Bernie Sanders' resolutions and the like, and by half of the Democratic caucus voting with him, is enormous, and it's dangerous. And it's not just dangerous to the state of Israel, it is dangerous to the United States of America. It gives cover to evil. It, in fact, does more than give cover. It gives actual support to this kind of evil that would take hostages, show these videos of these hostages, have hostages dig their own grave, starve people. And burn them alive. Intentionally destroy and attack and identify as targets civilians. Not unintentional acts. No. Intentionally doing it. Repeatedly. So with all of that, it really is an evil that we need to understand and take out rather than give oxygen, cover, and actual support to. And that's where we're at right now. We're giving support to it. That's moral bankruptcy. We need to change it. Thank you once again for joining us for the Andrew Parker Show. And we're going to have several interesting shows coming up. Rudy Boschwitz will be joining us on the show. Administrative Law Judge Chief, not long ago, now has retired status. Eric Littman will be joining us on the show. He spends much of his time in Israel. We are going to talk about the judicial system in the state of Israel and some of the powers that the Israeli government has in terms of the attorney general versus the executive or the prime minister in Israel. The fact that they don't have a constitution in Israel and what they substitute that with. So that'll be a very interesting discussion as well. As always, I thank you. It is very enjoyable to be able to talk to you. And, go to the andrewparkershow.com. You will be able to subscribe, follow us, certainly like us, and you'll be able also to see the text number there. You can text us at 952-522-2818. It's on your screen now, 952-522-2818. Follow us on YouTube for sure to get the video and audio of the show, and text us if you agree or disagree. Listen, I very much enjoy respectful discussions about those who disagree. Oftentimes, disagreement today results from a different set of facts. Which of the facts are true and false makes a huge difference in the discourse. And of course, people of good faith who understand facts in the same way will be driven by what those facts are versus what the falsities are. And their opinions will be driven that way. So we can come together much more so when we're viewing the same set of facts, as opposed to having differing opinions, which oftentimes we don't. People of good faith, good hearts, they know what is good, what is evil, what is right, what is wrong. TheAndrewParkerShow.com to get all the info. Go there. Until next time, be kind to your neighbor. For more smart, plain talk, go to TheAndrewParkerShow.com. Learn about all of your listening and viewing options. And remember, all the great things are simple, and many can be expressed in a single word: freedom, justice, honor, duty, mercy, hope. This episode of The Andrew Parker Show is sponsored by Parker Daniels Keyboard and True North Private Investments.
Did your employer make you sign a promissory note when joining the company, and now you want to leave, but you're afraid your firm will pursue you personally for that debt? This is Jesse Keyboard from the law firm Parker Daniels Keyboard. I recently represented a client who had signed such a note, and I was able to get them out of their $500,000 debt to their company, which allowed them the freedom to exit a bad employment situation and enter a much better one. Meeting our clients' objectives is our focus at Parker Daniels Keyboard, and in this regard, we win. Our experienced trial team of lawyers at Parker Daniels Keyboard have secured major victories in state and federal courts across the country and through arbitration. We have the legal expertise in all types of business disputes, labor and employment matters, real estate matters, shareholder disputes, financial transactions, security issues, and appeals. For wise counsel, winning results, contact us at Parker Daniels Keyboard, a premier litigation law firm that provides efficient, aggressive, and innovative solutions to complex legal problems. Wise counsel, winning results. Go to parkerdk.com.
Are you ready to take your wealth strategy to the next level? At True North Private Investments, they focus on alternative investments designed to help high net worth individuals achieve financial freedom. Diversify your portfolio with opportunities in private equity, real estate, and private credit, reducing exposure to volatile markets. And with their expert-crafted tax strategies, you'll unlock potential benefits that help you keep more of what you've earned. Smart investments, real results. Call True North today at 619-455-0275 or visit investtruenorth.com to learn more.